Well, it's Saturday the 12th of March. This is episode 2210 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited by me, at the JMO. One of the many things that I've written and not pressed publish on in the last few years is a post about the Alms Race. Arms as in ALMS, Alms Race, not ARMS. Since 2020, I've been using the term to describe the financial expansion of Web 2 social platforms, the development of tools that enable users to earn an income directly from other users, whilst trying to keep as much of that value generated by said users on platform, Web 2.5, if you will. The latest development in the arms race is this week's news that Substack have finally released their new Reader app on iOS. Here's what they had to say about it. It's an app for deep relations, an alternative to the mindless scrolling and cheap dopamine hits that lie behind other home screen icons. It offers a quiet space to read, where the work itself is given the spotlight and you're not pulled into status games or trivial diversions. I first wrote about Substack's Reader app on my blog when it was announced. My thoughts haven't really changed. They've built an app because people have grown tired of having other people's opinions in their private inboxes. To be blunt, Substack is a company that has made exactly one technical innovation: easy financial plumbing. In its simplest terms, Substack is an address book, a community gate, and a mail server. Patreon is a similar financial plumbing service, but substitutes the mail server for an expanded content delivery platform. Like Patreon, Substack has become a significant service providing financial plumbing to creators. The ease of use for both creators and supporters has resulted in both services having big network effects. Substack say as much themselves. The app exemplifies the network effects that already exist on Substack. Did you know that if a reader is already a paid subscriber to a Substack, they're 2.5 times more likely to pay for yours, making it easier for writers to get new subscribers and for readers to explore and sample Substacks they might not have otherwise found. The reason people make more money on Patreon and or Substack is because they have become the places that people supporting other people already are. I'm quite open and relaxed about leaving quite a bit of money on the table by not having a Patreon or a Substack for Permanently Moved. This is because I have no interest in being entangled with their ecosystem at all. If you want to support me, you can do it through my website. Simple. On the one hand, it's encouraging to see a company build an RSS reader from the ground up in 2022. This week, a super nice support agent called Kevin confirmed that I've been using Feedly as my RSS reader since Google Reader's demise in 2013. I have chosen my own internet for a long time, so to speak. The Substack app is another signal in the RSS revival. Google has advanced follow in its Chrome labs. Podcasts are asking more and more of RSS too. Yet despite the medium's maturity, we still don't have a spec for public-private community-gated content. Meanwhile, friends over at channel.xyz are developing Web3 native token-enabled RSS and membership systems for creative producers. The Substack app is a classic example of a strategic arms race maneuver, keeping creative value on platform. Substack isn't trying to capture more economic value with this move. Instead, it's an attempt at the enclosure of the creative value generated by its writers. A rebundling of the diasporous and promiscuous newsletter ecosystem they facilitated. A recapture of intangible value it helped to create. We can look elsewhere and see similar ongoing arms race activities. Twitter is expanding on all fronts. It has introduced its super tweet / paid follower monetization program. The semi-recent acquisition of Review and subsequent newsletter integration suggests an expanded media ecosystem too. Spaces are developing into hashtag and community hangout spots. And just this week we hear the news that Twitter may be adding a built-in podcast tab. A move that intrigues me, by the way, as 301 in its gestation was originally conceived as a small unit of content that would fit perfectly in the Twitter feed. Elsewhere, Patreon has finally pulled its finger out and begun to develop its own video player and CDN. I do, however, have some questions. If Substack is encouraging its readers to use a glorified RSS reader, then why start a newsletter on Substack at all when you can just start a blog? I was also surprised to read that if a user chooses to receive newsletter notifications via the new Substack app, Substack will automatically turn off emails being sent to your inbox. Nice UX, you might think, but if people are no longer subscribed by email and only via the app, how will this affect email list building and data portability? It's an enclosure that will result in challenges moving away from Substack to a different service. X% of your audience will be subscribed to your newsletter via an RSS feed endpoint that you have no control over. Permanently Moved online/RSS and thejmo.net/feed are far more useful to me than thejmo.net.substack/RSS, you know? This sort of thing is why I wish to have no imperial entanglements with Web 2.5 services. We should be wary of relying on infrastructure we don't control.